You know, they always say there's two sides to every story. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes that doesn't matter. That doesn't apply. And quite frankly, I don't want to hear the other side. Because some tragedies happen. Some cases happen. And it's just uncalled for. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. The show, a B. Waters Productions podcast. Appreciate you guys listening in. The Uncomfortable Conversations side of this podcast is where I share my thoughts on trending topics. The overall version, the regular version of this podcast is where my guests share their stories of success. Make sure you check out this season featuring Daniel Artest, Nico Sozio, Sydney Simone, and coming up next week, Chelsea Johnson. But today, I want to talk about something that's been bothering me. It's been bothering me for years, but it's been elevated in the past 10 days. And that is the disrespect of black women. Now, I'm a proud father of a 6-year-old girl, happily married for almost 7 years. Or was it 6? I might get in trouble for that. No, oh man. But yeah, happily married for almost 7 years. I know it's 7, trust me. And most importantly, I'm one that believes black women always deserve their respect. My mother and my sister are my best friends. My mother told me when my sister was born, this is your baby. And my dad always said, you look out after her. And vice versa. So I know that I am privileged to have these great relationships with women, whether it's a mother, a wife, a sister, a daughter. Everybody can't say the same. But the one thing was from my dad, a strong black man, he always taught me that you respect women as your equal, not as somebody who's under you. I've always said this, and I'll say this on the podcast. I've never been one to abuse, never put my hands on a woman because I was told not to. And it wouldn't be the police that I would be worried about. It would be my dad. He'd take care of me before the cops could. So last week, there was Chad Wheeler. And I talked about this on my show on Haps TV. We'll talk about it again. I was so irritated when I saw that there was a lack of coverage. Thank God for social media, and particularly Instagram. If social media didn't blow this story up, places like ESPN, Fox, CNN, they wouldn't have been forced to talk about this. I saw a very irritating tweet from a ESPN analyst, an NFL analyst who I highly respect, Ryan Clark, who straight said, Chad Wheeler, who is he? It's just going to be a lower third on the screen. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, are you serious? Let's not focus on let's not focus on who this player is. Let's focus on the fact that a black woman was abused by the hands of a football player, regardless of who it is. This should be covered. His mugshot needs to be blasted all over the airwaves. And quite frankly, it's just disrespectful to the woman. Because quite frankly, what you're saying is, she does not matter. And that's what I have an issue of. How are you going to tell me that this woman does not matter? How are you going to tell me that? And I know what they said. No, I'm not saying a woman doesn't matter. I'm just saying he's not a big enough player to talk about it. The fact that a woman was abused is a big enough reason to talk about that. And it's just totally disrespectful. And quite frankly, something needs to be done about it. And then there was something I saw today that was very disturbing. As the father, as I just mentioned, my daughter celebrated her birthday yesterday, or I should say January 31st, right? That night, I watched wrestling. I saw a black woman, Bianca Belair, win the Royal Rumble, making history. Not even 12 hours later, the next morning, I'm on checking the news, a la social media, and I see Steven Jackson's feed. Steven Jackson's feed. And for those who do not know, Steven Jackson is a close friend of the late George Floyd. And it said sensitive. And I was like, uh-oh. So I clicked it. And there I see a 9-year-old girl getting pepper sprayed by police officers. What in the world could a 9-year-old have done to deserve to be pepper sprayed by police officers? If I was to even think about pepper spraying my kids as a form of discipline, they would have me locked up for child abuse. And then to hear the child, I believe she was asking for a parent, and it was if they couldn't get her under control. And it sounded like, oh, so you don't want to listen? You don't want to listen? Go ahead and pepper spray her. You don't hardly pepper spray people who are acting rowdy at a club. You just pepper sprayed a minor. Something needs to be done about that. All those cops need to lose their license or lose their badges. All of them. I don't want to hear they're placed on administrative leave while we do a further investigation. That young girl was not a threat. She was in cuffs, I believe. She didn't have a gun in her hand or a knife from what I could see. And when I say what I could see, because I'm not going to sit here and act like I saw every angle of the video. So I'm just saying, what I saw, I didn't see a knife or a gun or anything that could have put them in danger. To me, and people may think I'm going on extreme here, to me it says, well, we know we can't get away with shooting her, but she won't comply, so we need to do the next best thing. Let's pepper spray her. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? You mean to tell me we live in a world where it's okay for cops to pepper spray a little girl? They've killed young black boys. Tamir Rice, they thought he had a gun and they just killed him. I, for one, I'm not a cop. Never had any aspirations to be one. But I never understood why it's always got to be a shoot to kill. And somebody said, well, somebody got to go. It's either their life or mine. But every time. And I've heard people say it's not a video game. Okay. But they supposed to be professionals. I never liked the way that cops talk to people. You can't go in a customer service place and tell, if you're doing customer service. I've worked in customer service for 5 years. And somebody come in cussing me out because they didn't like I worked at Best Buy. I ain't going back there. So I worked at Best Buy. And I'm not about to say anything negative about the company. If somebody came in there and started telling me they cussed me out because they didn't like the price of something. If I cuss back, guess what? I'm getting fired. Not suspended, fired. So why is it that I have to maintain a level of professionalism when there's only money on the line, not nobody's lives, but the cops can just walk around and say what they want? Takes me back to this summer. There was a lady in Baltimore City, and she was, acting, she was rowdy, and this was during a protest, I believe. I believe it was a protest. And she was, mouthing off. And there was another cop, a young black man, I'm going to go ahead and say it, showing off for his white counterparts, his fellow white cops, balled his fist up, and out of nowhere, blindsided this woman, stole her right in the jaw. And you know, when you looked at this guy, he looked like a punk. He looked like a person who was bullied as a child. And I know that may be wrong for me to say, but this is what he looked like. Somebody who was bullied as a child, bullied in black schools. And he punched this woman right in the jaw and knocked her out. And her body hit the ground. And you know what the crazy part was? Only thing the people could do was yell. I know, and the guys who were standing on the side watching this happen, looked as if they honestly wanted to just shoot him with his own gun, or at least break him in half. But they couldn't. And I saw this happen. I'm like, man, why is there such total disregard for black women? Black women are the reason that a lot of votes flipped and that we could somewhat get this country back under control. What's even worse is when you see other black men disrespecting black women. You know, there's a guy named Kevin Samuels. I think that's his name. He's a jerk out there talking about a high value man. And he's telling black women, oh, you got X amount of kids. You don't deserve this type of man. Or you do this, you do that. You don't deserve that type of man. Like, who the hell are you? And the thing is, there's so many people that subscribe to this clown and that follow him. And I just never understand. I don't understand how people do this. How in the world do they sit there and follow these garbage human beings? And that's why I always said, like, for some reason, I mean, I ain't gonna say, no. I ain't gonna say it. People will be, you know, they obviously will take it the wrong way. I will never understand how and why people get away with this. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand. America, what is wrong with our black women? What did they do to you? All they do is look out for men. Look out for their kids. Look out. As a whole, these black queens, you hear so many stories of single mothers taking care of their children. You hear so many stories of mothers being the backbones. And to see that young woman, I'm just wondering, where is her uncles, her father, her cousins? Where are they? And I know there's cases where women get abused and then unfortunately they go back to the abuser. And that's the sad part. These abusers get into these women's head. And it's not right. But the good guys have to step up. In the case of this young girl getting assaulted by police officers, you know, I've seen videos where you had cops slamming these children, these school police slamming children to the ground. And it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, y'all seeing that girl crying and then get pepper sprayed, it really set me off. And I just hope and pray that all of those people without a job, and I don't like to see nobody lose no money, but they don't deserve to be police officers. They don't deserve it. They should be forced to do time. They won't. But they should be at least removed. Not suspended, You know, you watch these movies, and some of these movies you see the cops or the sergeants or the lieutenants or whatever they call it, yelling at the people. I believe it was the Detroit movie. They were yelling. And at the end of the day, it's most of the time they're just worried about the PR nightmare. It's not about the people. It's not about the people. It's about the PR nightmare. But it's really bothering me to see that young girl gets pepper sprayed. So I'm asking, America, what is wrong with black women? Because, quite frankly, America doesn't deserve black women. This podcast is brought to you by B. Waters Productions. It is produced and edited by myself, Brian H. Waters, with the music brought to you by Hypnosis. You can find Hypnosis on Instagram at hypno_beats.